Mr. Wonka's great glass elevator was not the only thing orbiting the Earth at that particular time. 2 days before the United States of America had successfully launched its first space hotel, a gigantic sausage-shaped capsule no longer than 1,000 feet long. This extraordinary object was now speeding around and around the Earth at a height of 240 miles. Guests were to be taken up and down by a taxi service of small capsules. But as yet there was nobody on board at all, not even an astronaut. The reason for this was that no one had really believed that such an enormous thing would ever get off the ground without blowing up. But the launching had been a great success, and now that the space hotel was safely in orbit, there was a huge hustle and bustle to send up the first guests. It was rumored that the President of the United States himself was going to be among the first to stay in the hotel, and of course there was a mad rush by all sorts of other people across the world to book rooms. Several kings and queens had cabled the White House in Washington for reservations, and a Texas millionaire called Orson Scott, who was about to marry a Hollywood starlet called Helen Highwater, was offering $100,000 a day for the honeymoon suite. But you cannot send guests into a hotel unless there are lots of people there to look after them, and that explains why there was yet another existing object orbiting the Earth at that moment. This was the large transport capsule containing the entire staff for Space Hotel USA. There were managers, assistant managers, desk clerks, waitresses, bellboys, chambermaids, pastry chefs, and hall porters. The capsule said they were traveling in was manned by 3 famous astronauts, Shuckworth, Shanks, and Shaler, all 3 of them handsome, clever, and brave. "In exactly 1 hour," said Shuckworth, speaking to the passengers over the loudspeaker, "we shall link up to Space Hotel USA, your happy home for the next 10 years. At any moment now, if you look straight ahead, you should catch your first glimpse of this magnificent spaceship. Aha, I see something there. That must be it, folks. There's definitely something up ahead of us." Shuckworth, Shanks, and Shaler all stared through the window. "Hey, that's not our space hotel." "Holy rats!" cried Shanks. What in the name of God is that?" "Quick, give me the telescope," yelled Shuckworth. With one hand he focused the telescope, and with the other he flipped the switch connecting him to ground control. "Hello, Houston! There's something crazy going up on here. There's a thing orbiting ahead of us, and it's not like any spaceship I've ever seen." "Describe it at once," ordered ground control in Houston. It's all made of glass, and it's kind of square, and it's got lots of people inside. They're floating about like fish in a tank." "How many astronauts are there on board?" "None," said Shuckworth. "They can't possibly be astronauts." "What makes you say that?" "Because at least 3 of them are wearing nightshirts." "Don't be a fool," Shuckworth snapped ground control. "Pull yourself together, man. This is serious." "I swear it," cried poor Shuckworth. "There's 3 of them in nightshirt. 2 old women and 1 old man. I can see them clearly. I can even see their faces. Jeepers, they're older than Moses. They're about 90 years old." "You've gone mad, Shuckworth," shouted ground control. "You're fired. Give me Shanks." "Shanks speaking," said Shanks. "Now listen here, Houston. There's the 3 old birds on nightshirts floating around in this crazy glass box, and there's a funny little guy with a pointed beard wearing a black top hat and plum-colored velvet tailcoat and a bottle green trousers." "Stop!" screamed ground control. "Oh, that's not all. There's also a little boy called 10 years old." "That's no boy, you idiot. It's a midget astronaut dressed up as a boy." "But who are they?" "How the heck would I know?" "Are they heading for a space hotel?" "That's exactly where they're heading. I can see the space hotel now about a mile ahead." "They're gonna blow it up," yelled ground control. "This is desperate." Suddenly his voice would cut off, and Shanks heard another quite different voice in his earphones. It was deep and rasping. "I'll take charge of this," said the rasping voice. "Are you there, Shanks?" "Of course I'm here. But how dare you butt in? Keep your big nose out of this. Who are you, anyway?" "This is the President of the United States," said the voice. "And this is the Wizard of Oz. Who are you kidding?" "Cut the piffle, Shanks. This is a national emergency." "Good grief, it really is the President." "Well, hello there, Mr. President. How are you today? How many people are in that glass capsule?" 8. All floating." "Floating? We're outside of the pole of gravity here, Mr. President. Everything floats. We'd be floating ourselves if we weren't strapped down. Didn't you know that?" "Oh, of course I knew it. What else can you tell me?" "There's a bed in it, too. A big double bed that's floating, too." "A bed? Whoever heard of a bed in a spacecraft?" "It's a bed, all right. I can see it through my telescope." That's not a bed, you driveling thickwit. Can't you understand? It's a trick. It's a bomb. It's a bomb disguised as a bed. They're going to blow up our magnificent space hotel. Who's they, Mr. President, sir? Don't talk so much and let me think, said President. There were a few moments of silence. Scheller waited tensely. So did Shanks and Shuckworth. So did the managers and assistant managers and desk clerks and waitresses and bellboys and chambermaids and pastry chefs and hall porters. And down in the huge control room at House Houston, 100 controllers sat motionless in front of their dials and monitors. I've just thought of something. Don't you have a television camera up there on the front of your spacecraft, Scheller? Sure do, Mr. President. Then switch it on, you nit, and let all of us down here get a look at this object. I never thought of that, Mr. President. No wonder you're the president. Here goes. He reached it and switched on the TV camera. And at that moment, 500 million people all around the world who had just been listening in on their radios rushed to their television sets. On their screens, they saw exactly what Shuckworth and Shanks and Scheller were seeing. A weird glass box in a splendid orbit around the Earth. And in the box, seen not too clearly, but seen nonetheless, were 7 grown-ups and 1 small boy in a big double bed, all floating. 3 of the grown-ups were bare-legged and wearing nightshirts. And far off in the distance, beyond the glass box, the TV watchers could see the enormous, glistening, silvery shape of Space Hotel USA. But it was the sinister glass box itself that everyone was staring at. The president had said it was a bomb, and he was probably right. But what were they going to do? All across America and Canada and Russia and Japan and India and China and Africa and England and France and Germany and everywhere else in the world, a kind of panic began to take hold of the television watchers. Keep well clear of them, Scheller. Sure will, Mr. President, Scheller answered. I sure will.